Okay, so how old were you in the 1960s, roughly?
Late, early 30s.
Okay. This is my grandma, Barbara Ruggieri. My first question is, how did you and the people around you react to the assassination of JFK? And do you remember what you were doing and thinking the day he died?
Well, I'll take the second part of that first. I was doing, it was a Friday, and I was doing my running the sweeper, dusting my living room, getting ready to pick up my, it was noontime, around noontime, I was getting ready to pick up my little boy from kindergarten, and it came on the news that he had been shot, was taken to the hospital in Dallas, Texas. I can't remember the name of the hospital.
It's okay.
Parker. Okay. And the first reports were he was in an open car, in a convertible, and his wife had tried to get out the back. The security guard was trying to help her, and it must have been quite a bad situation, bad scene. And they took him into the hospital, and he was, a little bit later came back on the news that he had died. And the reporter was even crying. It was very emotional because he was so young, and it was a beautiful day, and they wanted him to put the top up. They didn't want him to go through Dallas in this open car, but he insisted on it, and that's, he didn't have the bulletproof windows or the safety of the top of the car.
Okay, question 2. Who did you know that went into the Vietnam War, and how did it affect you?
I didn't answer the first one, right?
I think you did, yeah. You said how it was pretty sad.
Oh yeah, it was, yeah. I didn't know what the first part was. What did we think about the
It just how did people react?
react to the death, right?
Yeah.
Oh. I thought you said something else at the beginning, I'm sorry.
It's fine. Question 2. Who did you know that went into the Vietnam War, and how did it affect you and them?
Well, I had been babysitting for a while. Earlier on, when I was younger, a boy named Jackie Kelly, and he went into the Vietnam War, and I was in the hospital having my second child, my daughter, and I got a call from my sister that he had been killed over there in Vietnam. And the worst part of it was friendly fire. They were, I think they were M17 new rifles, and they misfired. So when he used the rifle, it killed him.
Yeah.
And it was very, had a big impact. He was 23 years old. He was a beautiful boy, getting ready to get married. He was engaged to be married. And his mother, they were staunch Catholics. His mother never went back to the Catholic Church because the Vietnam War was very opposed to it.
Yeah. Question 3. During this time, women started to protest their rights and their own rights and freedom because they had seen how blacks were making a change. Did you partake in any of these rallies? If so, what was your experience like? Or did you know anyone who told you about their attendance at these rallies?
No, I never did have any friends or relatives or anybody that I knew of that went in for these women's rights, whatever rallies. It was mainly a Martin Luther King era too. It was the blacks that were marching in 68, in 60 something. And the first woman that I knew of was, I can't remember her name. She's still around. And she was very much for women's rights and everything. But we had our, we had voting rights and everything back then. And the blacks, of course, were that was continuing to go on in the country, but it wasn't.
Well, that leads me to
We
my next
lived in the
question.
East, so we lived in the East, and it
Yeah.
really didn't matter to us too much. My brother,
Ooh, that's my next question. My next question is, in this time blacks were fighting for their rights, what were you and your family's view on their fight, and did you ever take part in helping the American Party war? African American Party.
well, none of us were instrumental in the fight against the racist card.
Mhm.
But my brother, I started to tell you, my brother was in the Air Force and married a girl from Texas.
Mhm.
And she tried living here in Pennsylvania for a while. And she couldn't get over how, when she got on the bus to go to work downtown every day, the blacks didn't have to move to the back
Mhm.
or anything like. She couldn't get over how we treated them as equals.
Mhm.
We never had any problem with racism
Okay.
in Pittsburgh in the 60s.
Question number 5. A lot of teens in younger generations at this time were participating in the hippie movement. You being not in your teens, did you find it appalling of how they rebelled and acted out? If by chance, did you know anyone who participated in the hippie movement?
No, I really didn't know much about it. I was busy with my family, and I had some health issues back then, and it didn't make any difference to me. From one thing to the other. I knew they were hippies, and there was that Haight-Ashbury, I think it was, and they were doing a lot of marijuana and stuff like that. But I had no
Strong opinions?
no.
Okay. Number 6. After the Tet Offensive, many Americans changed their minds, becoming anti-war. Did this change you and your family's views and opinions on a war as a whole?
Well, like I said, nobody believed in that. You're still talking about the Vietnam.
Yes, the Vietnam War.
Nobody wanted to be over there. We did not want to be over there, and it was they were killing our boys just like they were in Iraq
Yeah.
now.
So you're saying that, like, from the beginning of the war, you were against it?
We did not. It was not. It was I forget what they called it back then, but it was not like a Second World War or anything that
Yeah.
they declared war on us and bombed for Pearl Harbor. It was just they just went in there, and we didn't feel that we should be there. And if you did speak against it, people thought you were being anti-American, but it was just a lot of lives lost for nothing.
Yeah. The Vietnam War had such a dramatic effect on the lives of Americans when they saw the live footage of the war. How did the home life change when people tuned in to watch what was going on? So in other words, once they started getting footage of the war, did more people go anti-war?
I think it was always anti-war.
Always?
I didn't know of hardly anybody that wanted to be over there, that thought our boys would be over there.
Do you think that was just in Pennsylvania, or do you think that was in America as a whole?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Number 8. Going into the war, many believed we would win within the year. But as time drew on, more and more soldiers left to go fight the war, and it became more apparent that this war was going to be much longer than anticipated. What was your opinion on the war in the beginning, and did it change as the war drew on? So were you always anti-war, or is that just something that you became more strongly on as it went on?
Well, after Jackie got killed, very strongly thought that we shouldn't be over there, and especially these new guns that they, were put into use and killing our own and calling it friendly fire. No, nobody wanted them over there that I know of.
Okay. Number 9. Due to college students being exempt from the draft, the war was mainly fought by the blue-collar party.
I never knew that, so I don't know anything about that.
Okay, well,
That's news to me.
now knowing that the war was mainly fought by the blue-collar party, while the white collars stayed home and rallied against the war, do you think that was fair, that the less fortunate were fighting it while the more fortunate were staying home, being against it?
Well, of course not. I don't think that was fair. I think a lot of things are fair that they do, the government, but no, I don't think that was fair at all.
Okay. President Johnson, question number 10. President Johnson announced that he would not be running for the second term for presidency in a televised address on March 31st, 1968.
I really don't remember too much about that.
Well,
To be honest with you.
okay, well, he did. So then
I know he didn't. He wasn't very well liked. I know that. So maybe that was one of the reasons.
Yeah. That was one. He said that he would not seek or accept a nomination. But who do you think would have been a good choice for the Democratic candidate? Because
at that time,
yes, because there was. Let's see. It was Herbert Humphrey.
Hubert Humphrey.
Yeah, and then George Wallace he was a third party, but he was also a Democrat. So it was just two Democrats, and then Nixon was the Republican candidate. So who do you think of those two would have been a better fit?
You mean Humphrey or Wallace?
Yes.
Wallace was very much Southern,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think he would have been a good fit, so I'd say Humphrey.
Okay. And the second part to this question was, additionally, what was your personal opinion of the Democratic Party at this time? Because many thought that it was in a lot of chaos because it was split down the middle of anti-war or pro-war. Did you see a lot of this?
I didn't pay that much attention to it.
Were you Republican?
Democrat.
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 Okay. Well, those are all the questions that we have. Thank you for all your time.
Wow, that was fast. Oh, you still.
Cut.